Hi, Mitch Bailey again from the iHacky booth here for the iHacky 2024 trade show. And I'm here with Eric Kaiser from TruTech Tools. Eric?
Mitch,
thanks for coming in.
pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Glad to stop by and say hi to everybody out there.
You're going to come in here and talk about some tools. You don't have to talk about any specific tool, but I see you brought something with you.
Well, I brought a really, it's a unique tool in the industry here with me.
We're going to have to hold on a second. Okay, so we're back.
We are.
We're back live from the iHacky trade show. Get down here right now so you can win one of these things. Okay, so
win something. Come on down.
Something. Come and win something.
We're here till 7 p.m.
Yeah, 7 o'clock. Which,
Pacific,
4 hours.
Pacific time.
4 more hours. So this live stream is going to be ending here after I get. Who's this one here? I can't remember. Oh, this is Connor from Quality Residential HVAC Services. We're going to do. After we're done with him, that's going to be it for us. We're going to be done for the day. Stop live streaming. I might go around and take the camera and film some booths and stuff if some people want to talk about their products and just walk around and do that. So you brought a...
I brought a really cool toy. It's unique in the industry, and I'll just show it up here to everybody. That is the digital TruFlow grid from the Energy Conservatory. Little backstory on me. Before I came out of the field, I spent about 11 years in the field doing various and assorted sundry things, anywhere from installations to commercial service and industrial service. This is just a tool that I wish that I had when I was working in residential service, because it allows a technician to get a very accurate airflow measurement of that equipment in a very, very short period of time. You've got an adapter there.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll work if it's an iPhone. So.
Yep, I didn't. I don't have an adapter. Yeah,
it's a C.
I should have brought over. Yeah, it's a,
so you know what we can do though.
I can't.
I brought my phone.
You got your phone?
And I do have, I think, the most updated version.
All right.
Of most updated version of TruTech Tools.
Well, have you got the
the TruFlow grid? Yeah.
The TruFlow grid app on there?
We have two of them.
There you go.
I think it's the most updated version.
Yeah, that looks like it. We're real close to it. So if we go in here to settings,
okay.
And in settings there is a demo mode.
Demo mode
okay.
Right there.
So if we turn that demo mode on, a nice thing about this is you turn that demo mode on in the app, and you don't actually have to have any of the tools connected up to it, but you can see how fast it works and you can see what it does. So it's really easy to practice the workflow through the app with this. Now this is an app-based product, and what that does is that you can see here in the settings where we've got the demo mode, and then if we go back into the home screen, you can kind of see what all it does. But it does really accurate airflow measurements, does really accurate static pressure measurements. And when we're in the residential world, this is, to me, a game-changing product that is out there that we don't have a lot of easy ways to take good, accurate airflow through it.
Yeah, so the old TruFlow grid was very, very accurate. In fact, the California Energy Commission was actually said, this is really what we want you to use, and then the industry lobbied, said, no, we should be able to use a barometer, we should be able to use a flow hood. And the TruFlow grid was more accurate to begin with, and that's the reason they wanted us, because of the accuracy that was with it. But it was hard to use. It
was very hard to use, and this one is now the digital TruFlow grid. This one's much easier to use. It is actually even more accurate than the original one.
Right.
So definitely some benefits. It works with Bluetooth, so you get all the stuff on your phone. Makes it really easy to build reports.
Right.
Take all the static pressure, static profile a system, and something new they brought out within the past month is actually system forecasting. So you can take the readings off the TruFlow grid and say you might want to be putting in different equipment. You're converting from gas to a heat pump.
Right, so our airflow is going to change?
The airflow is likely going to change because heat pumps need typically more airflow per BTU than a gas furnace does.
Yeah, well, as much sensible as we can get out of the system.
Right, so you can now use this tool as a sales tool or as a forecasting tool to say, hey, I can fit this heat pump.
I'm going to have to hold on a second. right, so we're good. We're back.
So what that allows us to do is to utilize this tool to forecast, hey, is this new piece of equipment going to work on this duct system?
Right.
Now, we might combine that with, say, a good load calculation on the house to make sure that we're sizing everything properly. Maybe we want to do a little bit of work on the house and we're going to fix the house so we can downsize a system potentially. But it tells us whether or not the static pressure and the airflow is going to work on that duct system.
And if it's not, then you can do whatever you need to fix that.
Correct, because you know that going in on the head end,
Right.
rather than putting in a new piece of equipment and then finding out it doesn't work. That makes you look bad. It makes your customer really question your credibility. And then you get to tell them up front, hey, not only do you need a new piece of equipment if you want to go with this, you also need to do some work on the duct system.
Right.
Maybe it's just putting in a bigger filter.
So would you like to show the demo mode?
Sure. So let's walk through. We'll walk through probably.
So it is all
yeah,
up here.
It's all on the screen. So we're going to hit the system airflow and static pressure. All right. This is what it comes up with first, and would be connecting the manometer,
DG8,
which is the DG8,
and then
a TruFlow grid
itself.
So you hit you turn both of those products on,
right.
Physically turn them on,
and they're Bluetooth.
They're Bluetooth, so it's going to show up on here DG8 and the serial number.
Yeah. So what's the range typically on these?
Farther than you need to be.
Yeah.
To operate
so I use it all the time, and I've
mean,
never. Every once in a while it'll drop, but that's not a big deal typically. And if it does drop, usually you just got to relike it and just move on. So.
You got to move pretty far away from these.
Yeah.
And the range is going to vary depending on if it's in metal duct, what you got going on. It varies. So you hit the plus symbol, you add those two in.
And you have two choices here: a furnace or
heating or cooling mode. Not necessarily a furnace, but just a heating mode.
Right.
So we're going to select heating mode. Now, what kind of heat do we have?
Right. Is it a gas furnace? Is it a heat pump? Or is it an electric resistance heat?
Correct. So let's go with a gas furnace then. And we're going to do, what's a common furnace type in your area?
So upflow.
Upflow? Okay, so
furnace.
let's select an upflow furnace. Now we've got to answer some questions about that system.
Right.
We need to answer, where's our air filter located? So the choices we get are filter grill, filter slot in the ductor cabinet, or multiple filter grills.
Right.
Right. And you and I talked about this earlier briefly, right? You were talking about multiple filter grills?
No, that was somebody else.
Okay, that was somebody else.
That's okay. It was my twin brother.
It was twin brother? Okay. Well, there's a lot of people I've talked to here already.
Yeah.
But multiple filter grills is a question that we get a lot about how to do multiple filter grills. So let's take a look at that, because there's a lot of houses out there with multiple filter grills in them. So separate filter and return. So this is going to be part of the view forecast. And that's, do we want to separate the filter pressure drop?
Take the filter out of that.
From the return pressure drop.
Okay.
So there we have to take another pressure reading on immediately the backside of the filter.
Right.
And that way we can show, okay, this much pressure drop happens at the filter, this much pressure drop happens in the return duct.
Right.
So if we separate those two, that's going to take another reading for us. External indoor cooling coil. Well, yeah, because we got a gas furnace.
We're going to have a coil that's separate, so we got to put it in there.
So we want to put our rated input. What's our rated input on that furnace in BTUs per hour?
So let's just say it's 80,000.
Okay, we'll go with 80,000. How about our rated output?
So it's an 80%er for 64,000.
Okay, 64,000. You sound like you've done this before. Maybe once or twice. And how about our rated temperature rise?
So rated temperature rise would be 50 degrees on this unit.
Okay, 50 degrees. So that was a minimum. How about our maximum?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. So go back.
Okay, we want to go back?
Go back to the minimum. Minimum is going to be 35, and the maximum would be 60.
Okay, 35 to 60.
Yeah.
All right, so there's our 35 to 60. Our return air temperature
comes
in nominal at 70
let's
degrees.
Just say, you can change that.
We'll just leave it at 70 for now.
Altitude, let's just say it's 75 feet.
75
We're
feet.
in Modesto, 75 feet.
Okay, so pretty low down. Now that we've got all that information filled in, we're just going to hit next. It's going to give you some notes here. It's going to tell you to close the humidifier dampers if you have any. We're in a dry climate, so you may want to have humidifiers in the wintertime.
Right.
Might be a good thing.
California, we don't usually do it.
You don't
Yeah,
do it.
so all our moisture stays in the air, doesn't freeze out. That's part of the reason it doesn't freeze out all the moisture, so we don't need a humidifier typically in Central Valley.
Gotcha.
Of Modesto.
I mean, they put these notes in there as universal because they go across the country.
It's not just California; it's everywhere.
Yeah,
so,
it's everywhere. My market, we use a lot of bypass humidifiers. That's a very applicable note.
Right. So you would have to put that.
We would have to close that. So we want to set the equipment up to heating mode, high heating speed, and then we're going to take the pressure measurements. It's going to indicate where to take these duct pressure measurements.
Right. So now it's going to show you where to go.
It's going to show you where to take stuff at.
Right. So on this one, because we're going to have 4 measurements now. One side of the filter, the return duct itself, before the coil, after the coil, and supply duct.
Yep. So we're going to put the probe in there wherever it shows on the screen. You're just going to hit take measurement.
And in this case, it was saying 0.40, negative 0.40.
And it's going to put that in. Now, Mitch knows this because this is a demo mode and it does the same thing every time. We're going to move that probe over. We're going to take another measurement, and you'll notice this isn't just an immediate measurement. It's actually taking
a sample group of measurements, so we're get a more accurate reading than just a snapshot.
Correct, because these things change in that duct all the time.
Yes.
If you ever put a sensitive manometer in there, this is a micromanometer.
They're up and down all over the place.
Up and down all over the place. The cool thing about this DG8, if nobody's there, if you haven't used one of these, the DG8 uses the same sensors that a blower door manometer does.
So it's basically a DG700 or DG1000 just converted into more simple,
a single channel
yeah.
with dual ports.
Yeah.
But it has that auto zeroing feature on there.
Yeah.
So there's a little valve in there that auto zeros that, so you don't have to keep hitting zero.
So how often do you have to calibrate the DG8?
Should be calibrated once a year. Best practices, just like a blower door. Or I'm sorry. This one, no. DG8, 5 years.
5 years. Yeah, I thought it was when you said 1 year, I was like, I thought it was longer than that. But.
You're 100% right. A lot of stuff, I deal a lot with combustion analyzers. I've got calibrations 1 year on my brain. These are 5 years. And what they did was initially it was 1 year on those when they first came out with the DG1000, because this uses the same sensor as that. And what they did was they did some long-term testing on it, and they proved out that it could go for 5 years, so extended it out.
So now we're before the coil.
Before the coil, we're going to take another reading. And then we're going to move up to after the coil. We're going to take our 4th measurement.
Our final reading?
Yep. Not our final, but our 4th measurement in this, because we got to take another one here. And there's a little bit more work to do with the multiple filter grills. So once we're done with all those readings, we're going to hit continue. Now, we're going to mask or cover that filter in the smaller of the 2 filter grills.
So you pick the smallest of the one.
Pick the smaller of the 2 or 3,
we usually
whatever
use, what everybody uses peel and seal. Works great.
Good.
Yeah.
Another option, if you don't have any
garbage
peel and
bag.
seal, garbage bag over the filter.
Yeah, heard the same thing. So
stick it back in there, right? Then you're going to put the filter grill itself, or the TruFlow grid, right? That grid into the other filter grill. Leave that grill open.
And the nice part about they have different adapters, or the different size ducts.
Yeah.
So depending on different size returns. So
the grid comes out,
and then.
And you've got different size adapters that grid just snaps
they have all
into.
kinds of different sizes. And then you can also buy one that you make your own size. So if you're using a lot of 20 by 30s, and you can make a 20 by 30. If you're 20 by 36, you can make a 20 by 36.
Yep.
If you don't have one that fits, let's just say, let me see that for a second. If you don't have one that fits, what we do is we'll put it in the grid. Huh? What's that? No, we're on the camera. We're under the camera. We're good. So if we'll tape off the side, so you can use this in a bigger grill, no problem. Just tape off the side here. So basically, is what you do because all we need is the readings out of the grid itself.
Yeah, the idea is you want to force all the airflow through that grid,
right?
Because what it's doing is it's looking at that supply static measurement, because that probe is still in your supply static, and it's comparing that static pressure between when the filters were in place normally versus what the airflow or what that static pressure is with the grid in place, and it runs a correction factor.
It's awesome. So go ahead. So we've got it. We're going to take a measurement.
So you got that in there. Then we're going to take the measurement, and now we're going to get the airflow. What the airflow was with the filters in place.
With the filters
That's what we want to be reading. We want to know what it is. And in this case, it's 1140
CFM. Now that's great if it was 3 ton or 2.5 ton.
Yeah,
that's real good. If it's a 3 ton, yeah, we're a little shy. If it's a 3.5 ton, we're a lot of shy.
Yeah.
So.
But we don't know necessarily. Now our workflow is complete here. We're going to hit OK.
It's going to save it.
We can save this. This
Put
is
a name
demo.
on there.
We're just going to leave it at that because it's
save
the
it.
date
That's
and
fine.
time.
Yeah.
Right. Now we have our static pressure is high on that.
Very high on the system. Yes.
Right. We're looking at a static pressure of over an inch of water column, which means that I had the airflow for maybe a 3 ton or a 2.5 ton. But I don't have the static pressure. So that blower is going to use a lot more electricity.
Point out where the big problem is on this one, and it's the filter pressure drop.
Right. So our filter pressure drop is huge on this.
So this is probably a pleated MERV 13 filter, probably dirty. The customer didn't change it or whatever. I test them when I test these systems with the TruFlow grid. I always test them with the existing filter.
Yep. You want to test
if I show up and the guy goes, "Oh no, let me give you a new filter," I said, "Nope, we're going to test it like this because this is how you've been operating it. I don't know how long you've been operating at, so you can see what kind of airflow you're getting out of the system. If you want me to test it again, I'll do the whole test again with the new filter so you can actually see that."
And it's really easy to do that, to show the difference between those two, and it's a great visual to show the homeowner. Say, look. Here's what this is costing.
So do you know how I used to do it in the old days? I had a Magna-Helix. I'd sat there, I'd say, you watch that Magna-Helix, and I'm going to go take that filter out, put a clean one in. And it's pegged, take that one out, now it's back at a 1/2 inch.
Yeah.
And suddenly, oh, wow, that was the old days. But that's still Magna-Helix, even though it's a very accurate instrument, it's very hard to read because it's an analog gauge. So.
It is, and it's also not something you can leave behind typically with that homeowner. With this,
I got a report.
When you hit that report button, enter some more information out there.
Address.
And hit the create report. And now you end up with a PDF report.
All right, and on the report, you can put your own logo on there. You can see my logo at the top.
Yep.
Here it is.
You got it all in there. Okay. Yeah. So you can share that with them.
PDF it right to them.
PDF it to them. Makes it really easy, and it shows.
Doesn't
zoom that one won't zoom. Here we go. We can zoom in down here. Look at that.
You pull it in that way.
There we go. But it'll show you where your problems are.
Right.
So I need, and if that's a clean filter, if that's a perfectly clean filter,
then that filter needs to go.
Or you need to put in a bigger filter grill.
Bigger filter or 2 filters or.
Right. You might need to put that one had 2 in it. We might need to put a 3rd filter in there.
Yep.
We need to put something bigger in to drop that resistance. So that's a case where if I'm going to go in and put a 3 ton in, I'm also going to sell that person an upgraded filter, or maybe put a deep pleated filter in there instead of that 1 inch.
Hi, Mitch Bailey here. So one of the biggest problems with any heating and air system is airflow and getting good filtration in the system. A lot of the times the high static pressures that we get in a system, we can't use a really good filter. In this case here on this one guy's home, we're going to put in a second return air, add a second return air, because he wants to use a nice MERV 10 filter in his system, and he can go to like a MERV 13 with this type of system. It's designed to go into a filter grill, and it fits up inside the filter grill. It's got a lip on it that allows it to do that. The other thing we're doing is we're increasing the airflow so we can use the complete filter. The way we're doing that is we're using a squared around as opposed to just having a 4-inch can and a collar tapped in the top of it. We get to use the whole filter, so we're not restricting the airflow. This will keep the airflow very high in the system, and it'll keep the static pressure very low. Again, we can double up the filters. We can use a really good filter. We have to double the filter grills to do that, and we should go to squared arounds wherever we can to increase the airflow through the system. All right. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.
Filter.
Right.
Something else to solve that problem. So, to me, this is very much a game changer in the industry with regards to being able to take quick and accurate airflow measurements and then be able to predict what's going to happen with that duct system.
Yeah.
later on down the road.
It all comes down to workflows.
Yeah.
And let's drop back because you do have NCI workflow. So let me bring it back here. Let me
hit the measure.
Hit the measure. Yeah. So there are NCI has put in workflows have paired up with TEC.
Yep.
And put in the all these different workflows for the National Comfort Institute that they actually want you to use to do this. I use the NCI once in a while. Basically, I'm still just using just the standard. Do my pressure test and stuff because I got to move in the house because I'm doing a lot of testing when I go in.
Yeah.
But with all that testing, you have a basis that you have a baseline to look at the system. You have a benchmark that you can use to say this is where you're at now. Let's go do the load calc. Let's see how it all compares and see where you're at. Because it's amazing. And then I go a step further. I usually do the ASHRAE 221, and I take my readings on the equipment and find the efficiency of the equipment and stuff, and we show all the different problems that the system has.
Yeah, and there's a ton of different stuff out there that we can do with this, but to your point, like, if we take this before we change the filters, we take it after we change the filters, and now it's a repeatable test. We can come back in later after we change all the equipment.
Fix everything.
And prove to that customer and say, look, here's what it is now.
Yep.
Because Steve Rogers over at the Energy Conservatory, they recently did some testing, and I believe they found that around a 0.7 external static pressure, if we get higher than a 0.7, it's going to start costing that customer more money than what it would cost to run a PSC motor.
Right.
So yeah, maybe that ECM is going to push harder, but it's going to cost that customer more money.
A lot more money.
And it's going to significantly reduce the life of that EC motor.
Yep.
So we want to get these static pressures down into that 0.4, 0.5 external range. We need to keep these things as low as possible because the lower we get them, the longer that motor is going to live and the less it's going to cost.
And it's going to cost the customer.
For operating costs.
Yeah, so one of my biggest things is we at the classes that I teach for iHacky and for NCI too, is the static pressures is your lifeblood of the system. If the static pressures are way out there, and it's an ECM motor, we're going to overcome some of that static pressure. We're going to deliver the air we want, but we're going to shorten the life of that motor.
Yep.
And it's going to cost the customer in the long run. So, yeah, it's awesome. I love this product. But now, one of the other things, TruTech Tools has, if you're iHacky member, you get a discount at TruTech Tools. So
yep.
you can go in with your iHacky membership and get this TruFlow grid for a significant discount. Because a typical TruFlow grid right now, if you're buying the whole setup, with all the different.
I think it's around $2,000.
Yeah, it's
for the whole
thing
with
that's
all
the
different adapters and everything.
And
yeah,
all the adapters and your TruFlow grid, and we liked it so much. As soon as we saw it, and I bought one, and then I bought a second one, and I gave one to my sales guy, and I said, "You use this," and because he's the only guy going into a house. This test literally takes 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's nobody else is doing it. And if you bring that in there, it's a sales tool. Because
Mm-hmm.
the other guy is going, nah, your unit's fine. We're just going to change it out and you'll be fine. We'll put a bigger unit in. And he's going in there and showing, you're not even getting the airflow out of the unit you want. If we put a bigger unit in, it's not going to work. We're going to have problems.
And to me, like I've lived it. I've seen it happen time and time again. You go in, put in a new piece of equipment, it doesn't work, come back in, test, oh, now we need to sell you duct modifications. Well, why didn't you tell me that before? You should have known this before.
So I had a customer recently, because we do the quality bid HVAC program, and they'd had a system replaced, but it wasn't heating their home.
Mm-hmm.
They would heat just a couple of rooms in the house, and the rest of the house was too cold. So we went in, and it was a brand new system, brand new furnace, brand new everything. We didn't do the system. And I went in and did the same QB2 testing that I would do, test everything out. What we found was the air was shortchanging. The 2 bedrooms and the laundry room and the return was right there, and a bathroom was getting too much air. The rest of the house wasn't. And so it was pulling in the air. So the thermostat was right underneath the return. It was getting to 80 degrees when the rest of the house was 65.
Yeah.
And so we went and did a duct design on it, the whole 9 yards. So the customer used that. TruFlow grid was a big part of that, to go in and show that the contractor because he wanted to charge him another $8,000 for doing duct work. Well, the customer come to us because they had a money back guarantee at that company and said, I want them to take it out and you put a new system in the duct work for us. And what we ended up doing is, so they wouldn't get sideways the customer, the other company finally said, okay, we're just going to give you the duct work. And they did the duct work for free. And then I asked them, I said, use my design. They didn't use my design. So I said, if you want me to come back and test it again, I will. We'll make sure they do it. They said, the winter came around and they said it was fine this year, so it's been okay. So I haven't had any problems. But, did they use my design? I think they gave it to them, but they said they didn't use it, but I think they probably used it because there's a reason you may do the designs. Yeah. But it's, again, people think they're a silver bullet. They change things out, and if you're not testing this stuff ahead of time, you're setting yourself up to fail.
100%. I mean, you've got to have the data to prove what you're doing. I really equate HVAC technicians, we are data interpreters. All the tools, all the instruments we use to get information out of these systems is giving us data, and then we have to figure out what to do with that data. And we also have to know the tool to know whether or not we're applying it in the right way to get good quality data, because if we get bad data out of something.
Yeah, garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly. It's like any mathematical calculation, any calculation, but that bad data, we may pass that along to our customer. And that's not a good thing.
Yeah, but it doesn't fix the problems. That's the reason we do all the testing. It's the reason I do a load calculation.
Yep.
Everybody needs to be doing these things, and if they're not, you're shortchanging your customer. These customers are paying over $20,000 for a system now. Mm-hmm. And if you're not doing a load calculation, you are setting yourself up to where you're going to get sideways with a customer somewhere, somehow, and it's going to be a problem. And if you have all your data, we used to do a lot of new construction. Back in the day, I don't know if you remember, the eNalysis machine. Did you know about that? Did you ever hear about that?
I'm not familiar with that one.
Okay, so this is Honeywell.
And that was that a California thing, or was
No, Analysis came out, and the guy that invented it, he was out of Texas, and he developed a system where it used bolometers, and it went back to a computer and wired transmission inside the house, and you'd go in and you would measure airflow. It had a actual hood that went over the unit, so it'd get the exhausted BTUs out of the system. It measured the voltage, the amps, it gave you the SEER. It was a great system. Cost $20,000 at the time.
Yeah.
We bought it. Why did I buy it? So I could go into a house and I could measure everything, because we were doing load calcs on all these new construction houses, and I could measure everything, and I could say, if somebody said, hey, my room's not heating like it should, or not cooling, I said, oh, we'll pull it out. And I had the announcement, because you're not supposed to be able to trick that. And you go in and measure it all, and then it had one that stayed on the return. So if you had two returns, you measure both returns, then it'll tell you which one to put it on, the same for the supply, and then you run it through a system, and it did a printout for them. And it was a great machine. I didn't buy the machine because they wanted to sell it as, let's take this into houses and you do all this. No, I bought it so that in these new construction houses, if a customer, because they wanted to be their lawsuit happy, wanted to sue me, I could prove. I said, here it is.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I go in and say, there's nothing wrong with your system. I said, look, this is the load calc. Here's where everything matches. The airflow is exactly what it's supposed to be, blah, blah, blah. And then they'd go, it still doesn't work. So what I end up doing, I usually come back the next day, jump the unit so they couldn't turn it off, tell them I'm going to check it out, and then come back in the afternoon, and it's 70 degrees in the house, and it's 105 outside. And I go, there's nothing wrong with the unit. Just got to turn it on. It's a user issue, not an equipment issue. And these are all new homes, and I did that I don't know how many times. I had one guy did that too. He worked for PG&E. He's a PG&E super, retired PG&E super, bought a house, go in there, 2,500 square foot house, got in there, did the analysis machine, didn't believe anything I said. This is all what it's supposed to be. So I'll tell you what, I'll come out tomorrow. It's supposed to be 102. I'm going to jump your unit, come back, jumped his unit. When I pulled up that afternoon to come check in the afternoon, he's sitting on the porch. All his windows and doors are open on the house. So what the hell are you doing? And he goes, it's too cold in the house. I couldn't turn it off. You're not running your unit right. And then he believed it. But yeah, we bought the machine, still sitting on our shop. We got the analysis machine still sitting there. But I didn't use it. I used it like I would the TruFlow grid to prove what I did worked.
Yeah.
And then same thing, or to prove that what's there isn't going to work. It's not working right. All right. Yeah. So what else does TruTech sell?
We sell a little bit of everything. We're an internet tool distributor. We carry 90-some different brands of tools and test equipment, all on our website. We warehouse everything in Ohio, and ship 7 days a week. Try to get stuff as quick to people as possible. But we really focus on our business is the HVACR and building performance markets. So that's what we're good at. That's what we focus on.
So and the performance part is the great part, because like I said, you guys have a lot of stuff that you guys do with NCI now.
Yep.
NCI has a discount also.
Yep. Yes, we are the preferred tool provider of NCI.
Yeah. And you can find a discount anywhere for TruTech. Yeah. Usually when you go to checking out a tool and you go to sign it, like go somewhere, it says, "Oh, let's give you a 5% discount. Buy right now." And so
we have a lot of good partners out there that help promote us as well and give us feedback.
Most of my tools that I've gotten, like the TruFlow grids, we got through the TruTech Tools, and our flow hoods and stuff like that. We got them. So because I'm big on testing, I like the testing. I test everything we do. So we do load calc on everything we do. It's what everybody should be doing. It's just that nobody does do it, and that's the problem.
Yeah, there's definitely a slimmer minority that do the load calculations and do a lot of really detailed testing. But for me, it's encouraging. I get to see the industry from a national perspective, and nationally, I'm starting to see more and more people.
They're coming around,
getting into this. We're starting to see some more development into it.
The check and the trucks are going away, hopefully, and we're getting more.
I think there's still going to be a place for them, but
heat 'em and cheat 'em. Those kind of guys are going bye-bye.
I think there's always going to be all kinds of people, and the customers have to decide what they want, ultimately.
And it does come down. When we're doing this, is when we are in a business that we provide services for customers when they have a problem or to keep them comfortable. And if we're not taking care of those problems or we're not making them comfortable, we're not doing our job. And that's the thing. So does TruTech have some videos online that you can watch for using these tools?
There's a lot on the TEC website or the TEC YouTube channel. We've got some of them linked into the products on our pages. There's all kinds of educational material out there. We've got quite a bit on our YouTube channel as well, and linked in through the product pages on our website, things like that. Unfortunately, I don't have all of it in my brain about what all is
I understand. I put you on the spot. Everybody's on the spot to come here.
Yeah, everybody's on the spot.
At least we haven't been interrupted by a raffle since we started. So
maybe they gave that one away.
I hope so. Because if not, give it to me. So, how did you like the show? How did the show go for you guys?
It's been a good show. This has been a lot of fun. This is my first time attending iHacky, and I've been impressed. It's a fun show to come to. So, if you're in the area, come on out and see
Are you
us.
selling any tools over there?
We don't sell anything here.
Directly, yeah?
No,
not directly out of it? Okay.
We got to carry
taking orders?
Got to carry anything on the airplane.
Yeah.
You can log on to the website 24/7 and make all the orders you want to.
No, I know that, yeah. So, okay. All right, Eric. Well, thank you for coming in.
Mitch, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought the TruFlow grid, because that's one of my favorite tools. I use it all the time. Well, let's see. Let's look at what's saved. Let's go to our saved. Let me go back.
He's got a lot of reports on his phone.
There's a lot of reports on my phone.
A lot of reports on that phone,
reports
folks.
on my phone.
I can't even count that high.
Yeah, it's a lot. It goes on, it goes on, and 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 it goes on.
Yeah, all the way back to 2022 when it came out.
Yeah, when we first got it. Yeah, that's right. So
we
do quite a few of them.
This is, again, like I said, one of those tools that if I had this when I was still in the field,
if I loved, everything has gotten better. Like I was telling everybody, I had to fill in for John Dalton. He got sick and he was there doing a panel of guys to talk to contractors. So I had to fill in for John. He's the head instructor for iHacky. And my thing is, you guys live in a golden age. This is the golden age of HVAC. What does that mean? We have some of the best tools I wish I had 25 years, 30 years ago, things that we had to do by hand, the math we had to do, all the other stuff. Now you just pull up an app on your phone, you click a button, you connect to a tool, and you have a snapshot of that system doing its job, and you know you can look very. And if you're using like Measure Quick or some of these other, they will tell you where there's the problem. Where there's a problem, like you need to look here, you need to look here. This is where we're seeing issues.
And maybe not even a snapshot. You may have a data log. I mean, we're starting to see a lot more data logging come into this stuff where you can look at data over a time period, which is also very useful, especially when you're hunting intermittent problems and things like that on these systems. Yeah. You're absolutely right. We're in the golden age. I don't know of HVAC, but we're definitely in the golden age of test instruments. Test
instruments and tools. And they're so accurate now, too. That's the other thing. Everything, you know, when I started, it was a pocket thermometer, and it was analog, and I'd stir it in the ice for a little bit and then adjust it with a crescent wrench to get it to so it was 32 degrees. Now I knew it was accurate. And how many decimal points could I read of that? None.
None.
You know, it's 32 degrees. There he goes, 42 degrees. I knew what it was. That was it.
Yeah. And things are changing. Like there's more new things coming out every year. We're seeing new tools, new ideas. We've gotten to the point where we can manufacture a lot of these products pretty quickly now. And with the 3D printing that manufacturers have today, they can prototype these things a lot faster. So they can develop the tools a lot quicker than they used to be able to. So,
okay. Eric, thank you very much, man.
Thanks very much for coming in. Connor, the floor is yours.
Thank you, sir.